Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to When the Shift Hits the Fan. My name is Mark Jeffrey. I am a shifter, and I'm here with my shifting co-host, Miss Linda Lehman. Good day, Linda.
Hey, Mark. How's it going?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It really, really is. And, Linda, we have heard from all of our people out there and telling us that they're just ready to blow up their lives. They can't take it anymore. They're just so frustrated and so overwhelmed about, all the things that happen to us in life, but you're just not able to wrap your head around or have the tools to work with. So we're maybe 3 or 4 part series, you think, Linda, that we're going to be running here, just to help you step into your new life. But it's all going to start with something that, here's where the stop is for every single person, for every reason, for anything that you want to do. It doesn't get any clearer than this, is that it's what you believe in. It's just what you believe. Linda and I, for example, we believe in the law of attraction. And if we have abundance, we attract more abundance. If we slip off the road and we are not thinking clearly, we start making mistakes. And so we believe that wholeheartedly. So we can shift into a new realm of reality because we can believe something else. So what everyone has to believe wholeheartedly is that your belief system, it's real to you.
Exactly, Mark. Our beliefs are driving the show. We may be having a little technical difficulty because your slides aren't moving. There it is. Folks, this is a live show, so sometimes we have to work things out.
Yeah, well, and my connection, just so we're having a storm up here, actually, and it could be my connection is just a little bit slow. It took me a little bit to get into the show tonight, and that's probably what's happening. So it's like one of those things where, yeah, it's a live show, and as long as, we can just wait on me, we'll be there, my friends. I believe that to be the truth.
Anyway, back to belief. I believe it all works out the way it should, and we're all part of this wonderful conglomeration that we call human beings. So it all works out for the best. But our beliefs are something that we really, we tend to not pay attention to. Unless somebody asks, well, what do you believe? And yeah, I think so many people think that we're just talking about religion, but beliefs actually control our lives. And if we peel back the onion, our beliefs really are just a multitude of habits that have come together. And the cool thing is, and this is something, especially because I know last time, Mark, we really started talking about a lot of these deeply ingrained beliefs and brought ourselves and our listeners pretty far down. But we did that on purpose because we wanted to start uncovering some of this. But the cool thing is we're going to let you off the hook a little bit, because since beliefs are a multitude of habits, the good news here is the majority of these beliefs that are actually controlling everything that you do in your life are somebody else's habits, other people's habits, like your parents or your grandparents or your teachers or clergy or even your friends when you were a young age. And the reason for that is all of these beliefs, these early beliefs, were planted before you had your reasoning faculty set up. So it's like before you were, say, the age of 7 or 8, all of this stuff, all of this, good stuff and bad stuff was freely planted into your belief system, and it's freely planted into the subconscious part of your mind, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But All of these beliefs are freely planted. Things like we talked about last time, thinking that money is dirty, talking about filthy rich, or when you see your parents arguing about money, or making sly comments about the people who are wealthy down the street. All of these beliefs are planted, and that is what is controlling your life right now. And that's what's setting those limitations that we talked about. That's the why you may be afraid of failing. Maybe it's because when you tried something new as a kid and you were made fun of, or it didn't work, or because your parent was mad about something else, they yelled at you for not doing something right. That starts planting a belief in your system that, oh no, I'm not perfect. I'm afraid that I'm going to make a mistake. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And so in everything new that you try to do in your adult life, all of these feelings from way back when, that belief is controlling your emotions. And so all of a sudden you're afraid to step out of the box. You're afraid to step out of your comfort zone because you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake. Or you're afraid that you see all these other people stepping forward and doing all these wonderful things, but you think that they can, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
yeah. What's be really interesting, I just thought of this as you were speaking, Linda, is what if it changed, and I think this is something that's an easy change to do. Perhaps you have to put your ego in the way, but here's the thing. You're doing something, and it's not working out. And somebody says, well, why don't you try blah, 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 to do it this way. And you say, I've always done it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way I've always done it. That person would be thinking inside their head, or may even say to you, well, you're bloody stubborn. If you were to turn around and say, no, I'm afraid, there's a solution. Instead of going, yeah, it just appeared to me. So I'm not it wasn't a long time in my repertoire, people. I just thought of that. I thought, well, what if, instead of, because I know that we do feel that way. We feel attacked, kind of. Like, and well, I've always done this, but you don't see success. So that's just like we always talk about banging your head against the wall. If it's not working, that's definition of insanity. Or definitely hurting your head, that's for sure. but yeah, what if we just turn around and said, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. That person would say, that's an opening. It's just an opening to a conversation. Why are you afraid? I'm afraid that if I tried this, then I'm going to get into even a deeper hole. Or, I tried a couple other things before and people laughed at me. It's a conversation with someone that's probably there that could help you. So I think that's awesome.
I do too. And you know what? When you start reframing that, because I've always done it that way, to I'm afraid it won't work, or I'm afraid I'll look foolish. What you're doing is at this point in time, you have an opportunity to question that belief.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I afraid? Why do I believe that I'm afraid, or why do I believe that I'll fail? Why is this belief true to me? Why do I believe this? Really question that. Because when you start questioning why I believe that, then you're going to start coming up with answers, just flashing on the screen of your mind. You're just going to have an answer. Why do you believe that? And it's going to go back to, and you're even going to laugh about it, because it'll ultimately go back to maybe a picture in your mind of this 5-year-old kid who maybe was learning to ride his bike and failed. Fell off, or did an experiment and it didn't work, maybe a science fair project or something like that. And then you're going to realize that this 5-year-old kid is what's controlling your actions as an adult, 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old. So that's one thing. The other thing is to look at what you believe is true, because your beliefs You believe something, then it's true for you. So why is it true? Is it true 100% of the time? You know, a good example of this, Mark, is in the people trying to do business online.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at other people, and they look at, you know, how successful some people are who are doing legitimate business, and then they're thinking to themselves, well, they can, but I can't. But in reality, if one person, just one person, can be successful online, then that has to be true for everyone, that everyone can be successful online if they take the necessary steps. So for you to say, well, they can do it, but I can't, it's actually false. It's a lie. Because if one person can do it, so can you.
You know, and I'll give you a real-life example, too, about this, you guys, because none of us are infallible. We all deal with this. When I was younger, and I know I've told this little story many times on many of the shows that we've done, because it's just something that was something I battled with for all of my life. And that was, I had one of those daughter-father relationships where I idolized my dad, and he may not have been the best person in the world, right? But as a kid, he was to me. But he was always trying to drive me forward, but in a very, really now I know, a malicious way. When I competed in anything, if I came in second, he would just, instead of congratulating me, would say, well, there's one person ahead of you. What are you going to do about that? And, if I didn't score the highest on everything, it was like, well, you should have tried harder. There was never any good effort, pat on the back, ever. And I didn't mind it as a child, okay? I just thought that was the way of the world, all right? Now, coming into adulthood, I had a very, very hard time accepting any kind of critique. It would just slay me because I'd think, oh, my God, I failed totally. And to the point, at some point in my life, when I was, my teen years and stuff like that, maybe even a little bit older, I would actually start making up excuses or lying, straight out lying, why I was getting good at making excuses as to why I wasn't the best, or getting very angry when somebody brought it to my attention. It just riled me. And it took me a long time to realize that's where that came from. My dad set me in a competition mode that if I wasn't the best, I wasn't worth it. And so I've carried that. So I know when Linda says to you, people gave those to us, it's true. But as adults, it's also our responsibility to identify them and work on them. Because to this day, when I don't do the best at something, I can get more down on myself, where somebody else might say, and that's why Linda's always a good partner to me, because she's my to my oh my God. So, we really have to move past all of those things. And I know for a fact that it's not going to be easy, because I deal with this really on a daily basis. And I challenge myself more. I put myself at risk more. Like, I'll go right out to the end of the board and jump off. Halfway down, I'm going, you idiot, what are you doing? But in that way, it doesn't give me a chance to second guess myself. I run on my gut instinct, and yes, I fail a lot. But I also know I can get back up. I'm moving past it. I don't have the fear of it, but I can feel it creeping in. If I'm doing something and somebody says, yeah, I don't believe that, or I don't believe in what you're doing. That little bit comes in my back going, oh no, they don't love me.
Yeah, but now you can recognize it. You recognize that as that old belief that was planted coming up, and because those implanted beliefs when we're kids, Mark, are so ingrained. They have taken root.
Oh yeah.
But the good news is there are ways for us to take control and begin to remove or replace, or in a lot of cases the belief may be there, but when we recognize it, it becomes so small because we've replaced it with something even better. Now, we have some tools at our disposal. We've always had them, but we really haven't recognized their potential to help us move past those limiting beliefs, replace them with something better. Because they're not taught in school, Mark. We're taught about our senses so that we can feel the world around us, but we're not taught about what I call our mental muscles, our mental faculties.
I never took that in school. Not until I majored in psychology.
Mm-hmm.
So who does that?
Yeah,
nobody wants to go to nobody wants to go to the psychology class. It was part of my law degree, but honestly, that's not something most people pick, because those are the weirdos, the wackos of the world, and everybody goes back to Einstein and Freud and, hair sticking up all over, weird habits that they had. But, they may now, not necessarily Einstein, but even some of his theories have either been proved or disproved over time.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think he's going to take issue with that? No, he would applaud it, because he threw the ball, someone caught it and started running with it. And like Linda said, these things are deep-rooted. I get that, but you can always change the landscape. It may take a bulldozer.
Right.
But you can always change your landscape. So, Linda, let's talk about these different tools, because I think that is really going to be very important in them understanding, how these can be used to move past all of the stuff limiting them.
Absolutely. And no one is any better or worse than the other. So in no particular order, we can talk about imagination first.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
As I love watching real young children, because their imagination is just on all the time, and we allow that. They're the king of the world. They're and when I was little, I was a princess and a beauty queen, and I could do anything, or there were times I was up in a tree in my backyard and I was some great crusader. But then when we have to start getting involved in school and education, a lot of times a lid is put on our imagination because we're told we have to pay attention and stop daydreaming. But really, imagination is this wonderful mental muscle. Nothing around you that you see in your environment right now could exist unless it was imagined by somebody first. Think about it: the chair you're sitting on, Mark, or the phone or the computer that we're recording this on, or people are watching this on. It all had to be imagined first. That is one of the first steps in creating the world that you truly want to live in, is by using your imagination and daydreaming. Visualize it. Bring this picture up in your mind. That's using your imagination. And I know that probably there's going to be other shows that we're going to do in this series, Mark, that we dig a little bit deeper into things like activating your imagination and visualizing and things like that. So I want to move on. Perception. Perception is how we see the world around us. It's how we view it. And I have to tell you, your beliefs play a very major part in your perception. But when you exercise your perception, there's this wonderful mental muscle. And if you see something, maybe you see something that you don't like, why not step back? Activate this wonderful perception that you have. Look at it from a different angle. Look for something else inside of it. Like, for instance, if you're looking at something bad, everything has an equal opposite. So if you use your perception to find that opposite of the bad, the good in it, you're going to find it, because you're going to be using and exercising that mental muscle of perception.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like remember the story I just told you about me? That was my perception. So those are what those things are. That was a belief I had from a perception that was given to me. Somebody else gave it to me. I accepted it because I was a child, and it affected my adult life. It was up to me to now look at it through different eyes. So that's a little key there, guys. This is going to take some work on your behalf. But look at the part that changes from a life that some of you are telling us you hate to a life that's unlimited. Wow. Isn't it worth the draw on that? Okay, Linda, let's carry on.
Okay, the will. Contrary to popular belief, your will is not forceful. Your will is actually what you use to focus on something. And, it's like as a kid, Mark, and I'm sure you did this too. You can take a magnifying glass out on a sunny day, and you can angle your magnifying glass just right, and you can actually harness the power of the sun into a pinpoint hot bead where you can burn anything that's in your path, like, I don't know, leaves, ants, whatever.
Yeah, I did that too. Yeah, okay, sorry, ants.
Sorry. But anyway, this is how you focus. And so many times we all think, we believe we're thinking, but we're really not, because we have all of these willy-nilly, wishy-washy thoughts going on all of the time. But if we really want to make a change and do what we live our heart's desire, then it's with our will that we can actually focus on what it is that we truly want instead of jumping off squirrel.
Yeah.
But that's our will. The next one is our memory. Nobody has a bad memory. You just don't exercise your memory. And what I have found, Mark, and I think that you probably have too with the clients that you work with, most people use their memory against themselves. They start remembering all of the times they failed. That's that belief system, that's those old habits in there. You remember all of the times you failed instead of remembering all of the times that you succeeded.
I have to jump in here just for a second because we were just talking about this yesterday. And it was interesting because it was with a family who had a death. And we were talking about grief. And the lady had said, we were talking about different things. She said, I don't remember anything, on that day. And then I thought, isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting how when things are great, things went well. I mean, this was a death, so obviously it's not a happy day, but everything went smoothly. And then I started thinking about, the weddings I've been to, and they were just beautiful weddings. That's how it was a beautiful wedding, but I don't remember the dress she was wearing, or the color of the corsages, or her bouquet, because it was just beautiful memory in my mind. But I'll tell you, when I burned my hand on the stove, I can remember the color of that flame. When things, that's the way our memory does. Like those things that harm us and hurt us, they're the alerts to it. But the rest of it, my life is awesome. Like Linda will tell you this, sometimes I don't remember what I did yesterday. I just know I had a good day. But if something bad would have happened, that day would have been imprinted on my mind. That's how memories work.
But now we know that it's a mental muscle, and with exercise,
exactly, we can flex it.
And so, why don't we use our memory then, Mark, to focus on? We can pull in the will, and focus on the beautiful days, the beautiful times, the successful times.
What color was that flower? Imprint that on your mind, because we don't, right? You go for a stroll, and you go, oh, that was a great walk. And somebody will say, oh, what did you see? I don't know.
I don't remember.
But if a coyote went out and bit you in the ankle, you'd sure the hell remember that.
Yep.
So see, this is, I know those are extremes, but that's where we're going here, folks.
Now, Mark, the next one is reason. Take us back to that 5-7-year-old kid. All of this stuff, all of these beliefs, all of these habits are being freely planted. That's because this mental muscle reason really isn't there yet. It doesn't come into play until you're, 8, 9, or 10. But reason is how you start thinking through things, processing things. It's like, a great example is you have an idea that you want to do or try, or you have a new job, for instance, that you want to apply for. Then you start using your reasoning faculty to start building steps in your mind, or you have a goal you want to achieve. You start building the steps in your mind with your reason, thinking through how you're going to get there. Or you use your reason, and this is a really good use of it, but a lot of people don't use it this way. You know, we have all that garbage, all the junk coming at us from everywhere, the news, gossipy people, everything. And most of the time, we don't realize that we have this marvelous muscle called reason. And with our reason, we can actually use it to decide what we're going to get involved with, what we're going to just let go of and let slide by. So if we use our reason to blockade all of the garbage and bad stuff that's coming at us, like a guard or something, and just throw it out, then we're not allowing that garbage to plant itself in our subconscious mind. It's very important.
Very, very important.
Now, you talked about the next one already, a little bit, intuition, that gut feeling. Your intuition, if you will tune into that, is a very powerful force. It's like that, what is it, that old show, Lost in Space. I can hear the little robot going, warning, 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 warning. You know, it can be that warning signal to and I told this story before in a previous show of ours, to put on the brakes before you realize why you need to put on the brakes. It saved us from being involved in an awful accident. Or it's that warning signal when one of your loved ones walks in the door and without saying a word, you run and hide somewhere. Because you already know that they're in a bad mood. This is how you're picking up these signals, these vibrations that are going on from other people and even within your environment. Your mind already knows what's going to happen probably a second before your brain registers what's going to happen. I know that's a little neuroscience, and I'm not going to get involved in that today, but it's your intuition, and if you tune into it, it's sending signals to you all the time. It's sending good feeling signals, and you need to follow that. It may be leading you someplace that you didn't rationally think about at first, but if you follow that good feeling, once you follow that, you're going to look back and go, oh, this makes perfect sense. But if you don't follow it, you're going to probably take 3 or 4 more years to get to the same place.
And this is one specific mind muscle that you really, or full body muscle, I would say, Linda, that you really need to develop, because you have to understand that sometimes your fears, you can use the excuse of a fear to say, I knew that was going to happen. You know, validating a fear. Okay, so you have to be careful here, and we will be doing an entire show on this because it is so critical to what's going to happen with you. But we talked a little bit about all of this, right? But how does this come together? I mean, how do you go? What happens inside your brain? I know we're not going to delve into this to the depth that Linda and I have both studied it, but we want you to have a firm understanding of, you know, working through this process, because we want you to start. I mean, it starts obviously the way we talk every time with your journal. How are you feeling about things? Why did they make you feel that way? Why was this a good day compared to yesterday being a bad day? What were those triggers? It's just like when you're starting a diet. It's the same thing, right? Everybody hates the word diet, so you just really have to change that. Because if you're on a diet, you're going to hate every morning that you get up and every night that you go to bed because you are on a diet. Nobody likes that, right? Making life adjustments and making lifestyle adjustments. I'm making an adjustment today is much better than I'm on a diet. So what happens, so then I want to talk about this, what happens in that subconscious mind, why you're driving yourself to hell in a handbasket or empowering your life.
Well, one thing that we all need to understand and grasp a hold of, your subconscious mind is your power center. It's how you connect. You know, we talked about the fact that we believe in the law of attraction. It's actually through your subconscious mind that you connect with that law of attraction. To try to break it down for you, you remember I was talking about, we were talking about these mental muscles, and I was talking about your reasoning faculty, and how it's sitting there actually in your conscious mind. So you can almost visualize your mind in two different pieces, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So it's in your conscious mind that you can actually think things through. You can start developing pictures with your imagination, focusing on them with your will and everything. And then it's with emotion, your feelings, that you're planting what you're thinking about into your subconscious mind. Now, unlike your conscious mind, where with your reasoning faculty, as I explained earlier, you can decide what you're going to allow in and you're not going to allow in. Your subconscious mind doesn't have that ability to say, oh, she's thinking about something bad, so I'm not going to let that in. Your subconscious mind actually takes in everything you give it, whether you're aware of it or not. So remember I talked about all the garbage. If you sit down at the news, watch the news, maybe you had a great day, Mark. Everything was going your way, and then you plopped down in front of the TV and you started listening to the news. And by the time the news was over, you felt horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's because you allowed all that stuff to just freely plant itself into your subconscious mind. Now, inside your subconscious mind is also where these little beliefs live. So this is the tricky part. Remember, I just said that it's how you connect with the law of attraction. So you can be kind of thinking things on the surface of what you want, like you're dreaming, I want this dream house. But if you have a belief sitting in your subconscious mind that's saying you're not worthy of that, everybody else can have that dream house, but you can't, that's the feeling. That's still the signal. Unless you're aware of it, that's the signal. But it's with emotionalizing your desires as if it's already there and really getting involved and feeling great about it that you start shifting those beliefs out of there and bringing in something new. It's in your subconscious mind that you are actually building your reality around you. That's how strong it is. And the cool thing about the subconscious mind is whether you're sitting there imagining what you truly want and really getting emotionally involved with that, or you're getting emotionally involved with the fact that you hate your job, you hate your life, your bank account's overdrawn, and you're feeling crummy about that, either way, your subconscious mind thinks it's real, and it's saying, this is what she wants, this is what I'm going to give her more of.
Mm-hmm. And people, you have to remember, this is scientific fact. Okay, this isn't something that some wacko dreamt up. It's fact. So we want you to think about something, and we will, throughout this series, or maybe even another one too, because this is such a big, books and books and books and documentaries, and so many things have been done on the subconscious mind that we may even give you like specific things to do to change different patterning in your life, and maybe that will help. But think about this, and think hard on this. Life should be an adventure, okay? Life should be fulfilling and joyful. It's got to be much, much more than just existing. If you're on an existing plane, getting bogged down every day with the day-to-day stuff that's going on and just striving to survive, you don't have any time in that space in your mind, in that subconscious part, to savor the wonders of just being alive. And like we talk about this all the time, being grateful. Like how many of you wake up in the morning grateful that your eyes popped open?
Me.
You expect it, right? Mm-hmm. But you need to be grateful for it and savor it. Like, wow, another day I get to see.
Exactly, Mark. That is so important to you. That's a first step. And I know we're going to delve into it a little bit more next time, but that's a first step, just waking up and being grateful, putting a smile on your face and saying, oh, yes, I woke up. It's a marvelous day. What adventures am I going to have today?
Yeah, and if you're waking up with that, oh, another day, how am I going to make it through it? That's the question. How will I make it through it? First, I'm going to put a smile on my face. First, I'm going to be grateful that my eyes opened this morning. I'm grateful that I have 2 beautiful children that have no diseases and can run and play, and I have the ability to instill amazing things in there. I mean, we could go on for the next hour talking about this, but we'll come back again, and we're going to challenge you, though, this week to start writing down, again, what's stopping you? Why are your shoulders slumped and you feel like, I can't, this life, I hate it? No one, not anyone, should hate their lives. All of us have the ability to change. We just have to believe that that is a possibility for us. So, Linda, that's what I have for them tonight.
That's awesome. Believe. I love it. Believe in yourself. Believe that all things are possible for you. And if you can't make that statement and feel good about it, make the statement, I believe in the possibility that all good things are out there for me.
Absolutely, the possibility. So, folks, thank you for spending this time with us. We greatly appreciate you being here. We know that we're asking a lot of you. For some of you, this is going to be a very difficult journey, but remember this. Linda and I, we're both here for you. If you want to connect with us personally, you need some extra help, we're there for you. But we do recommend that you go to whentheshifthitsthefan.com and get lots of information about conquering fears and being more confident and slaying bad habits. There's tons of information there. Sneak over there. Nobody will see you, and get the help that you need. So from Mark here in a blustery Canada today, but good night, everyone.
And from Linda down here in a nice, warm, sunshiny Florida, good night.